You can work for 20 years and still have no real control over your time, your income, or your future. The truth is, most people aren't stuck because of lack of effort, but because they made the wrong moves for too long. This isn't about working harder. We're talking about the habits, strategies, and mindset shifts that actually lead to long-term payoff. The kind of moves that build leverage, open doors, and give you options when others have none. Want a career that pays off long after the clock stops ticking? Check out the full details by visiting the link in the description. Number 1. Job hop every few years, internally or externally. One of the biggest lies in corporate life is that loyalty pays. It doesn't, not the way you think. People who stay in the same job typically see annual raises in the 3 to 5% range, if they're lucky. On the other hand, switching roles, even within the same company, often comes with a 10% to 25% bump. That's not just a raise, it's a reset. Companies don't reward loyalty, they reward market value. And the market doesn't care how long you've been somewhere, it cares what the position is worth. Staying loyal might feel noble, but it's not a strategy. Number 2. Take on projects that stretch you. If your day-to-day feels too easy, you're not growing. That might sound like something a hustle pro would say, but in this case, it's true. Project-based work forces you into uncomfortable spots, and that's where the learning curve gets real. These types of assignments usually mean more responsibility, more visibility, and more opportunity to show what you can do. They push you to work with different departments, manage deadlines, and sometimes deal with chaos. But that's the point. That's where skills get built. Number 3. Do the projects no one else wants. The stuff that's been sitting in backlog for 6 months, that's your opportunity. Most people avoid those projects because they're messy, unclear, or thankless. But that's exactly why they're valuable. Taking on something others won't touch sets you apart instantly. You become the problem solver, the fixer, the go-to when things get complicated. And once leadership sees that you're not afraid of the hard stuff, they remember your name when real opportunities come up. The ugly work often pays the prettiest dividends, if you're the one willing to step up. Number 4. Get certifications and licenses. Companies might not offer to pay for certifications, but that doesn't mean they're not worth doing. Most of the people who made serious money moves didn't wait for approval. They invested in themselves first. I got my CFA because I knew it would open doors, and I wasn't wrong. My income didn't just rise, it multiplied. Certifications signal that you're serious about leveling up and bring immediate credibility in technical conversations. While others were hoping for training budgets, I treated it like tuition for future freedom, and it paid off. Number 5. Seek out a mentor. Waiting for a company-assigned mentor is like waiting to be handed a map to a secret location. It's not coming. The best mentors are the ones you find yourself. People just a few steps ahead who still remember what it's like to be where you are. You don't need someone with a corner office and a 30-year resume. You need someone who can help you skip steps, dodge common mistakes, and push you when you're coasting. And when you find someone who wants to see you win, everything speeds up. Number 6. Become a mentor. You don't need a title or gray hair to mentor someone. If you're 2 steps ahead of someone else, you've got something to offer. The best part? Mentoring forces you to clarify your own thinking. It shows you where your knowledge gaps are and sharpens your communication. More importantly, it builds your reputation as someone who lifts others. Leaders take note of that. Plenty of people skip a promotion but still get the bigger opportunity later because they were already acting like a leader before it was on paper. Number 7. Stalk job postings, even when you're not looking. Job postings are one of the clearest signals of where a company is headed. They reveal which teams are growing, which products are being prioritized, and what skills are suddenly in demand. Most people only check listings when they're trying to leave, but there's value in watching even when you're staying put. Tracking these shifts helps you understand what your employer and competitors are building toward. It also shows you which skills to sharpen before they're expected. Being in tune with job trends is like reading the playbook before the game changes. You don't have to apply, you just have to pay attention. Number 8. Reach out to managers working on interesting projects. If you see something exciting happening in another department, don't sit back and wait for someone to invite you in. Reach out. Managers are more receptive than most people assume. Expressing interest in their work shows initiative and curiosity, two traits that never go unnoticed. It's not about asking for a job. It's about staying close to momentum and positioning yourself as someone who wants to grow. Even a short conversation can lead to your name coming up when they're building the next team or looking for help on something new. Visibility comes to those who step forward, not those who sit still. Number 9. Build internal alliances outside your team. If your only relationships exist within your own team, you're limiting your range. Cross-functional connections open doors and give you context about how the whole business operates. Working with people across departments builds trust and expands your influence beyond your direct responsibilities. You become someone who understands how the pieces fit together, not just your part of the puzzle. When leadership looks for someone to lead bigger initiatives, they usually pick the person who already has rapport outside their silo. Internal networking isn't about office politics, it's about long-term mobility. Number 10. Learn to speak in business outcomes, not tasks. Saying you led a team or completed a report doesn't move the needle. What matters is what that work achieved. Frame your efforts in terms of outcomes, cost savings, revenue growth, process improvements, customer retention. Decision makers think in results, not activities. If you want to be seen as a strategic asset instead of a task finisher, speak their language. Translate everything you do into business value. It's not about exaggerating, it's about making your impact visible and relevant to people who make the calls. Number 11. Ask for feedback before you think you need it. Waiting for formal reviews is waiting too long. The smartest move is asking for feedback while things are going well. It shows maturity, openness, and a willingness to improve before problems show up. This also lets your manager or peers know that you're proactive, not defensive. Early feedback is often more honest because it's not tied to performance scores or compensation. And small adjustments now can prevent bigger issues later. The people who grow the fastest are the ones who seek input before it's urgent. Number 12. Develop a career exit strategy every 3 years. You don't need to quit. You just need to know how you would if it came to that. Mapping out an exit plan every few years keeps you grounded and ready. It forces you to assess your skills, your savings, and your options. This mindset also protects you from staying stuck out of fear. People who have exit strategies don't wait for layoffs or office politics to decide their next move. They move with purpose. Even if you love your job, it's smart to stay prepared in case it stops loving you back. Number 13. Track trends in your industry and adjacent ones. Industries shift fast, and the signs are usually there long before the fallout. You don't need to be an analyst to keep up. Just spend a few minutes a week scanning headlines, earnings reports, product launches, and policy changes. Pay attention to who's hiring, who's shrinking, and what new skills are popping up. Even glancing at conference topics or webinar invites can show you what's gaining traction. The people who stay relevant aren't lucky, they're informed. Being slightly ahead of the curve is often the edge you need. Number 14. Build something outside work, even small. Work can provide income, but it shouldn't be your only outlet for progress. Building something on your own terms, no matter how small, flexes different muscles. It could be a blog, a simple business, a product, or even a tool that solves a problem you care about. The point is to own a result that isn't tied to your employer's systems or goals. This kind of work builds confidence and skills you can't always develop on someone else's clock. It also gives you something to fall back on if things go sideways. Independence starts with initiative. Number 15. Negotiate every offer, even internal ones. Most companies assume you'll ask for more. If you don't, they consider it a win on their side. Negotiating doesn't mean being aggressive, it means being clear on your value and asking for fair alignment. Internal promotions count just as much. New title, new role. Ask what the budget range looks like and where you land in it. Managers respect people who advocate for themselves. And if you're afraid to ask, that's even more reason to practice. One ask could change your earnings for years to come. Number 16, don't wait to be told you're ready. If you're waiting for someone to notice your potential, you'll be waiting a long time. Readiness is rarely announced, it's claimed. Apply for the role. Volunteer for the project. Speak up when the door cracks open. Most promotions don't go to the most qualified, they go to the person who asked first and backed it up. Confidence often comes after you've already stepped in, not before. Make your move and figure it out in motion. That's how most people get ahead. Number 17. Keep your identity bigger than your job title. When your whole sense of self is tied to a title, you start making decisions to protect it instead of grow. This is how people stay stuck in roles long after they've stopped learning. The key is to build an identity around skills, not labels. You are more than your email signature. Keep a mindset that's about growth, not status. That way, if the title goes away or changes, you're not left scrambling to remember what you actually bring to the table. Number 18. Pursue. What's interesting until it isn't. The most powerful compass isn't status or salary, it's interest. Follow what pulls you in. When it stops pulling, let it go. Most people burn out because they cling to something that stopped being worth the energy. This isn't about chasing passion blindly. It's about staying engaged long enough to grow, then moving on when the returns fade. Interest is fuel. Without it, even the best job turns into a slow drain. Move when the spark fades, not when the fire's already out. Career moves that actually work. The smartest moves usually don't make headlines. They show up in the small choices that build leverage, skill, and direction. Most people keep waiting for permission, but long-term payoff comes to those who act without it. You don't need a grand plan. You need momentum and awareness. Make better moves, stack small wins, and keep adjusting when the path stops working. That's how a good job turns into a powerful career. Thanks for watching. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget the link in the description.